And I am Dylan Neighbor Cruz, aka the Tattooed Theologian. I'm the author of Go Golden and the choir release Theological Musings, Collected Essays of a Tattooed Theologian, Volume 1, also available on Amazon.
Awesome. Well, hey, everybody, like we said, it's 4th of July. I'm not sure if there is a whole lot to celebrate, but it may be our last chance to celebrate anything like freedom or independence or things like that. What do you guys think? Is there anything to celebrate today on the 4th of July?
It's slim.
Yeah, it's slim. I've been a non-celebrant for many years now. Nationalistic Nonsense Day is what I call today. And I just remember Frederick Douglass saying, what to me is the 4th of July.
Yeah.
So what to a lot of people is the 4th of July.
Right.
I just celebrate being alive. This got nothing to do with the 4th of July. You know, we had our holiday a couple weeks ago with Juneteenth. So I celebrate being alive, being, like the old people say, living and moving and have my being in my right mind. But as far as celebrating 4th of July, the kids are out with their dad getting ready to watch some fireworks. That's about it. Because it seemed like all our freedoms are trying to get rolled back as we speak. So
yeah, that's exactly right. And I think that's what we wanted to talk about here on episode 1 of the God Squad. The reasons why it's difficult to find, things to celebrate, considering what's happened in the last couple of weeks, especially. And what we've been talking about on John Fugelsang's show, our God Squad segment every Wednesday night, Project 2025 and the rise of Christian nationalism, which I think is the biggest threat, not only to democracy, but even to the Christianity in America right now. And that it's all built on this premise, right, that America is a Christian nation. And so let's kick off by challenging this idea on this most patriotic of days. Let's challenge this idea. Is America a Christian nation?
I find it bizarre that in 2024 we keep having to have this conversation. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but David Barton is not a historian.
No.
He is a Christo-fascist propagandist.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the Project Blitz playbook the other day again, because I'm a glutton for punishment. And they quote Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, or they point to them and imply that because sometimes they wrote about God, that they were in favor of a Christian nation. So I have some primary source documents because that's what historians use. And I just want to read a real quick quote. This is from Madison, from the Memorial and Remonstrance Against Religious Assessments. So this is something that people like our fuckwit of the week and our this motherfucker should probably take note of. And he said, who does not see that the same authority which can establish Christianity in exclusion of all other religions may establish with the same ease any particular sect of Christians in exclusion of all other sects? That the same authority which can force a citizen to contribute 3 pence only of his property for the support of any one establishment may force him to conform to any other establishment in all cases whatsoever. In other words, anybody that can set up a state religion can force you to follow a religion that goes against your conscience and your pocketbook.
Yeah.
And he was one of the framers of the Constitution. We're not, and we never have been, nor were we ever intended to be a Christian nation.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and the thing is, the whole reason why we are here, and there's some extra layers about why I'm here, but the whole reason why we're here as a country is to have gotten away from a religious foundation as a nation. That's the whole entire reason why we're here, why the country was founded, why we ever came over here, for the revolution and the Boston Tea Party and all the other stuff, that happened to create this I'm gonna call it a great nation. It's not feeling so great right now because of everything that's going on, but I would rather be in this nation than some other nations. I'll say some other, not all others, but
Yeah.
uh,
Right.
but we have an amazing nation. Let's set the slavery aside and all the other bullshit that they happened. But the premise of what the founders intended, we're still trying to live up to what we intended. We're still working on that. But the premise of what we intended is amazing, and it was from the beginning to get away from
Yeah.
religion and as a governance structure, and they would have you to think that that's all we wanted to do and all we should be doing right now, but it's all we never wanted to do and all we didn't want to do, which is
Yeah.
why we have the Constitution, why it's written in the Constitution, why there's separation of church and state, and all the other things that have been put in place. But if you watch certain news networks and listen to certain talking heads, you would think that we're off course. And they're trying to get us back. That whole "Make America Great Again." They're trying to get us back to somewhere where the founders always intended us to be. I think Donald Trump said the other day, everybody wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade. Is it what?
Yeah. Revisionist history.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit on John's segment last night. This idea that exactly what you're saying, December, the founding fathers left a theocracy and came to America, and the goal was to start the founding fathers were trying to do was to start a secular republic. They very intentionally kept the deity at arm's length, and it was a radical departure for the time. Again, we have to put ourselves in the historical context of what was going on in the world at the time, and the founders wanted to create a constitution, wanted to create a new nation that, unlike other nations of the day, that they would have no religious tests for anyone that held office, that there would be no establishment of any national religion, because that's what they had in England, and no congressional interference with an individual citizen's free exercise of their own faith, whatever that happened to be, or no faith at all, right? And talk about making America great. That was what made America great in the beginning, because America was not any of those things that they're telling us now. Oh no, the founding fathers, that's what they wanted. They wanted all that, even though they somehow didn't mention it and left all that out. And what I mentioned last night was the 1797 Treaty of Tripoli. This is what Christian nationalists never want to talk about. They don't want you to know that this even exists. But you can't get any more founding father than George Washington. George Washington started the Treaty of Tripoli in 1797. It was signed by John Adams. It was ratified unanimously by a Senate that was made up, half of them, of the signers of the Constitution, the original signers, were part of that Senate. And that treaty, which, again, all of those people were involved with, said this, quote, "The government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion." If you want to know what George Washington thought about this, if you want to know what John Adams thought about this, if you want to know what at least 50% of the signers of the Constitution thought about the question, is America a Christian nation? There's your answer. We were not founded as a Christian nation. And we actually could find all kinds of quotes.
Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter to Danbury Baptist Church, and and that's where the famous quote, "The wall of separation between church and state," comes from. He said the First Amendment creates a wall of separation between church and state. They knew that in Europe there were wars and heretic hunters, and people were being murdered because of their beliefs. And if you didn't believe the right thing for the particular European geography that you were in, you could be killed by the powers that be. And they did not want that here.
That's exactly right.
They didn't want another 30 years war on a different continent. They did not want another round of warfare during the Reformation when people couldn't decide what a plain reading of the text meant. And so they started killing each other over their own views. And
they didn't want another crusade.
Right.
The Crusades.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, and that was the environment, that they had left, right? There was so much persecution, Anglicans killing Catholics, Catholics killing Anglicans, putting people in prison. Early on, when the Puritans and the Quakers in the colonies They were also killing each other over stupid doctrinal differences. Paul Bunyan, right, the guy that wrote Pilgrim's Progress, he wrote Pilgrim's Progress because he was in prison. You know why he was in prison? Because he went to preach the gospel to like this other sect. They didn't want him to preach the gospel to them, and they put him in jail for it. So like there was so much persecution between Christians. It was like, look, no, we don't want anything to do with this. If we create a government, it will be a government that is separate from religious anything, has nothing to do with that. And again, that is exactly what they did. And Christian nationalists now want to rewrite history and convince you that, oh no, we're a Christian nation and we have to go back to something that we never really were.
We were never there.
Well, Pulitzer Prize-winning historian Alan Taylor wrote in his book American Revolutions that during the Continental Congress, when they were making the Constitutional Convention, when they were writing the Constitution, they wouldn't let chaplains in the room because they wanted to have a secular document. They didn't hold prayer meetings before the writing of the Constitution, even though somebody suggested it and they got roundly told no.
Yeah.
So
it was intentional.
One of the things that the Christian nationalists like to do is they like to point to things like the Mayflower Compact and say that this is a founding document. That's not a founding document. It was written in the 1600s. We were not a country in the 1600s.
Right.
There were a bunch of white settler colonialists who were coming over here and committing genocide and shit and bringing their white supremacist attitudes over. And they were theocrats. The Puritans were theocrats.
Yes.
They just wanted to be different kind of theocrats than the Church of England.
Right.
That's why Roger Williams split off and created Rhode Island.
That's right. Roger Williams, by the way, is an excellent. If you want to study this early history, there's some excellent books about Roger Williams. And he was one of the early pioneers of this idea of absolutely America is not a Christian nation. We don't want to become a Christian nation. We do not want to become a theocracy. He was in pretty serious debates with other Christian ministers. He and his family were exiled in the middle of a blizzard. They nearly died. He paid a heavy price for standing up. He was a really great guy. And he was really the one, Roger Williams was the guy that inspired Thomas Jefferson when in his attitudes about the separation of church and state, because he had been reading Roger Williams' letters and he really thought Roger Williams was right. Like, we shouldn't be trying to legislate religion or, our theology. That's not a good idea for the religion it's also not a good idea for the nation.
Yeah.
Well, if we bring it forward to now, which Christianity are we talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
Are we talking about Catholics? Because they got some beliefs in their Catholic tradition that are radically different. Are we talking about Southern Baptist, which is always has been slaveholder religion? Are we talking about the Methodists that broke away because of the LGBTQ rights issues? Or are we talking about the United Church of Christ, where the seminary that I went to is a UCC seminary and has been open and affirming for decades and has renounced systemic racism and supersessionism? That kind of Christianity? Or is it just the kind of Christianity that says that the Bible is inerrant and that we need to have civil magistrates who are religious police, like the statement on Christian nationalism says? I'm pretty sure it's not me that they're talking about. The people at the NAR probably think that I'm demon possessed in some way, and that I'm, definitely a heretic and presenting a false gospel. And you two are right there with me.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. And I think you bring up a good point, because here's the thing. They want to have a theocracy, but it's not like we just want it to be Christian. Like you said, it's what kind and what type and what sect and what category, what denomination. And you're going to find out that it's whoever is at the top, whatever kind they practice, that's the kind, right? Because even the 10 Commandments going up in the schools in Louisiana, that's not even the version that's in the Bible. The version that they want to post, did you tell me that, Keith? The version that they have posted up is not what's in the Bible. It's something from a movie.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I wanted us to talk about that on John's show, and we didn't get around to it. And I just came across it. It's so insane to me. And I would never have known it if I hadn't come across this story. The version of the 10 Commandments that they are, by law mandating that has to be put up in public schools in Louisiana is not it doesn't appear in any Bible. It's not even in the King James Bible. The version of the Ten Commandments that has to be posted is the version of the Ten Commandments from the Charlton Heston movie, The Ten Commandments. They took the version from the movie, and that version is not scripture. It doesn't appear in any Bible. And I heard that and I was like, are you kidding me? Like so this is all so they can post the Ten Commandments version from the movie? From 1950 something, however old that movie is. Like, you've got to be kidding me.
That just lets you know how unserious these folks are.
Yes.
It's not even the biblical version of it. And then if you're going to, if you get into what version of Christianity and they got to post the Ten Commandments, now you got to ask them, well, what version of the Bible? And depending on who you talk to, it's going to be the King James version is law. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we got to have all the THs on the end of everything. Or is it the NIV? Or is it the NKJV? Or is it the NLT? Or you know what I'm saying? This is where it starts getting into Clown Town with it.
Clown Town. Yeah.
We are. You're right. We're definitely in Clown Town.
Yes. You get into Clown Town because it's like whoever's in control at the time, whatever version of God and Christianity and the Bible that person or a group of people say should govern, that's what it is. And that's why the founders never intended for it to go this way, period. Yeah. If you go down this road, I envision a place where you'll have different versions of theocracy for every state, like we have the abortion laws. We'll leave it up to the states. No, this is why there's separation of church and state, period, across the board.
Yes,
across the board.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, it's funny about that Ten Commandments thing from the movie. I think it was Kevin Cruz's book, One Nation Under God, where he talks about that. He talks about this arc from sort of the 1930s where Christian libertarianism started to be really important politically, and that's how we got One Nation Under God on our money, or in God we trust on the money, and we added One Nation Under God to the Pledge of Allegiance and all that kind of stuff. He brings up that C.C. DeMille movie in there because Hollywood was getting into cahoots with some of these Christian nationalist types, and that's the kind of movies that they wanted to make, which was white Moses.
White
gun-toting Moses.
Yeah, exactly.
Who praised those wise dead white guys at the end of that Michael Moore movie, Bowling for Columbine.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Charlton Heston let his hood fall down for a minute.
Yes.
At the end of that movie.
I want to take a moment to give a shout out to Deidre Smith, who's tuning in. She said, "Good evening. Glad to catch y'all in real time." And just to let our viewers know that you are our fourth host of this show. So if you have something you want to say, if you have a comment, if you want to come on with us, you could actually join us live on the show while we are live. So if you got something you want to say, please say it. And if you want to get on here and have something to say live on video or just by sound, if you're a little camera shy, we'll send you the link and you could jump on live with us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. We really, one of the reasons we're going live on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all that is we do want to hear you. We want to get your comments, and we want you to call into the show, jump onto the show, like December said, either video or audio. If you have a question or a comment, even if you want to challenge us, we talked about this in episode 0.
That's right.
We're happy. Like, if you could completely disagree with us, you think we're crazy, America's a Christian nation, and you want to prove it, come on. We'll listen to you. We'll give you some time.
Good luck, but please come on.
Go big or go home, y'all.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Awesome. Well, hey, you know what? I think we should probably go ahead and jump into, we have a couple of segments. So if you missed episode 0, we tried to let everybody know that we're doing these special segments every time. We won't do them every single time, but as they come up, and this time you're in for a treat. December Rose is going to do her very first special segment. I'm not even sure I want to introduce it. I think I want you to introduce it, December. What is the special segment we're doing?
One day I'm gonna create some theme music for this.
We need it.
This definitely needs a theme music. My segment is called "This Motherfucker." Okay, my segment is called "This Motherfucker," and depending on how ridiculous and how agitated and irritated I am about this person, whoever this person happens to be. It will depend on how I say it. But today it's this motherfucker. Okay, this one. And this one this week is the superintendent of Oklahoma, the Oklahoma State Superintendent, Ryan Walters, I believe is his name. And I have a quick video I want you to watch, and you're going to see why this motherfucker is this motherfucker of the week.
Tonight, we begin with the latest in our state education leaders' push for Christian religion in public schools after a major Oklahoma Supreme Court decision this week denying a religious charter school. State Superintendent Ryan Walters doubled down by requiring all Oklahoma educators to teach the Bible effective immediately. I listened into today's board meeting, as I have many others, where it has become difficult to discern whether this is talk or action.
This Supreme Court has made some horrendous decisions. This is one of the worst.
This week, the Oklahoma Supreme Court ruled the Oklahoma State Department of Education must end its contract with St. Isidore, stating it is unconstitutional. It would be the nation's first religious charter school.
This would have been the most unique charter school in the country. So I want you all to know we will continue to fight back against this.
Fighting this, State Superintendent Ryan Walters is not. The Supreme Court denied his request to be a part of the lawsuit last November. Just days after the ruling, Walters issued a Bible mandate in all public schools.
We will be issuing a memo today that every school district will adhere to, which is that every teacher, every classroom in the state will have a Bible in the classroom, and we'll be teaching from the Bible in the classroom.
Walters pointed to state statutes.
Under Title 70, multiple occasions, the Bible is a necessary historical document.
I looked at Title 70. He didn't specify a section, and it's nearly 1,500 pages. It's only mentioned 4 times, 3 times under approved elective courses, and once as an approved record for a Greenwood scholarship. Enforcement is too early to tell. While Walters has passed controversial emergency rules, he has also said he will require the 10 Commandments in class, enforce prayer, and require religious training for teachers. That has not happened. Lawsuits already gearing up, including the same group behind the recent St. Isidore win. In a statement, Americans United says in part, Walters is abusing the power of his public office to impose his religious beliefs. Americans United is ready to step in and protect all Oklahoma public school children from constitutional violations. I reached out to several.
All right, so listen, if you haven't figured it out, this guy is saying that teachers in Oklahoma must teach the Bible in the classroom, and there will be consequences if they don't. Now, here's a direct quote from him. Walter said, it would be academic malpractice. Listen, y'all, academic malpractice not to teach the Bible in classrooms. If somebody in history cites the Bible, whether you believe in the Bible or not, that's really irrelevant. Okay, listen. This is why this is ridiculous. If it's okay, if we're talking about historical documents, if we're talking about history and his foundation for requiring that the Bible be taught in school because it's historic, so is the Quran, so is the Book of Mormon, so is the Bhagavad Gita. We could go on and on and on about historic books. Why, if we're going to teach the Bible, we should have to teach all of them, but it's not about that. It's not about that. Not only do the teachers have to teach it, and this is going to be enforced. My assumption is that they're going to get the shit suit out of them, and this is going to have to fall by the wayside. That's what I'm assuming at some point. It might not be right away, but my assumption is that there's going to be some kind of stay put on this going into effect. They're going to get sued. It's going to be deemed unconstitutional, and then it's not going to go forward. But the reason why this motherfucker, Ryan Walters, is this motherfucker is because there is nothing that he cited a law on their books for why they should have to demand that teachers teach the Bible. He didn't cite a scripture though. He didn't cite a scripture though. You want to know why he didn't cite a scripture though? Because there ain't no scripture in the Bible that will back up the law being that teachers should have to teach the Bible to students. Not even all the teachers are going to be Christian, let alone all the students. What makes you think? And what class should they teach it in? History, English, biology? What class? What teacher in what class? Or should there be a separate class? Here's the bottom line. If you want your children to for it to be mandatory for your children to learn the Bible during school, pull your children out the goddamn public school and put them in a private Christian school. If you want your children to learn the Bible during school hours, from the time you drop that little ass off in the morning to the time you pick up that little funky ass in the evening, pull your kids out of school and put them in a Christian school. Because if they're going to be in a public school, guess who else is in public school? Muslims are in public school. Jews are in public school. Hindus are in public school. Non-denominational and atheists are in public school. People who are of the Wiccan faith or the Badi or whatever faith, okay, are in the public school. And those children should not be subjected to the Bible or any other faith other than their own, because the school, especially the public school, is not the place to teach children about God or the Bible. That's your responsibility. And as a person who follows Christ, listen, before anybody get on any kind of stuff in their feelings and get their drawers all tangled up. My children go to a Christian summer school. After they went to a Christian summer school this past week, they spent 2 hours after they went to a Christian summer school. Well, I'm at work all day, 8 hours, 2 more hours at a Christian Bible vacation camp. That's 10 hours a day that my children are in a, quote, Christian environment that I trust. Why is that? Because although I don't trust all this foolery and fuckery that goes on in most of these churches, I do want my children to be raised up under the principles of Christ. I do want my children to pattern their lives after Christ, not after religion, not after this bullshit that they're selling, but after Christ himself. But who's responsible for that environment? I am responsible. And I pay good money for them to go to this summer camp and these different things that I had them in. That is my responsibility, and that's my burden to bear. That is not on the Christian school. I mean, that is not on the public school, and that is not on public school teachers. It hasn't been up to this point, and it should never be. Okay, so that's why this fool from Oklahoma, this superintendent, is this motherfucker. This motherfucker who's a Christian who cites a law why they should have to teach the Bible in schools, but can't cite a scripture for why they should have to teach the Bible in schools. And this is a hypocrite. This is a hypocrite on some bullshit, and that's why he's this motherfucker this week. And we got a caller right now that I think we want to bring. Keith and Dylan, I don't know if you got anything you want to say. We got the beautiful Miss Deidre on here, and we're gonna bring her in. Keith, Dylan, what y'all want to say about this motherfucker here?
Well, I don't know. I kind of want Deidre to hear from Deidre, and then we can jump in. Deidre, thank you for joining and for being, by the way, our very first live caller. Thank you.
You are our very first live caller.
Thank you.
I'm honored. Oh, guys, you had me chuckling while I was trying to get ready to get on here. This is some really scary. I mean, I've often debated. So so people don't know me. So I just put, I'm a deconstructed Christ follower. So I firmly will have my own faith system and my beliefs, but I dare not impose those on anybody else. That is just where I am as a Black woman in the world. So to hear and see that states are implementing and reverting back to the very things that when I was in school, we were taught to be inclusive. I grew up in the DC metro area. I'm a native Washingtonian. So I'm back here now, and to see this type of dangerous rhetoric where it's becoming exclusionary in school systems, it's quite disturbing. We worked very hard. I thought, in years to become more inclusive as a nation, more inclusive in regions and pockets. I did live in Georgia for 20 years, and I lived in the safety of the Metro Atlanta area.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there's Atlanta and then there's Georgia. And so
True.
so with that, it's literally like two different worlds.
Yeah.
So I would say it's disheartening. I wouldn't subscribe to it. What I say, because I still believe in the systems
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
of this country. That even though the Constitution was not written for people like me,
Right.
that doesn't mean we still won't hold America to its ideals, whether the
That's
founding
right.
fathers intended it or
That's
not.
right.
Thank you.
And so when it says we the people, then it's we the people. And so the marginalized, all marginalized people have continued to hold America accountable.
Thank
And
you.
I think it's going to literally take state by state, locality by locality. I think this is deeper than the presidency.
Yes.
That's
I
right.
think this really personally, from a native Washingtonian whose local news is politics.
Yeah.
I live in a bubble, but was able to live in an area of the country where I could really see how out of touch and just uninformed people are by design.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
By design.
Intentionally.
It's
Yeah.
very telling and it's very disturbing. And as much as I would love for everybody to love Christ like I do,
Yeah.
I am perfectly comfortable with everybody loving whatever they love, believing in whatever they believe, as long as they treat people like human beings.
Yes.
I have
That's right.
I have commonalities with my Jewish brothers and sisters. I have things in common with my Muslim brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
I have friends that are Hindu, friends that are Sikh. I have friends that are atheists. I have family members that are agnostic. I just want people to treat people right. Treat people with decency.
Yeah.
And stop
Respect.
trying to stuff something down people's throat, especially our young people. When we're young, we're impressionable. When we're young, we have our eyes wide open, but we take it all in. We haven't gotten the lens yet to be able to discern when we're being manipulated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so in
That's
an
right.
attempt where we have, in a state where we have learned to be discerning, now they want to strip that away.
Yes. Sadly,
It's really,
that's exactly right.
You all work in these spaces. I'm just a regular, everyday human being who, I preached for 20 years, enough to say I'm good.
You sound like me.
Yeah.
That's why Keith, I've come to know Keith because of his deconstruction journey. And so, that's where I am. I'm like, I can't subscribe to this. This isn't feeling right. This doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, thank you, Deidre,
Thank
so
you.
much. And I think it was just
You're
wonderful. It's
welcome.
beautiful to hear, everything you were saying just now. We were talking to each other before we started the show. And I think Dylan and I were talking about something, and I said, here's the thing. All of us need to understand right now, we are all part of the resistance.
That's right.
Like it or not, we are all part of the resistance. If you see what's happening right now in the news, you see what the Supreme Court is doing, you hear what these Project 2025 people are talking about, the kind of America that they want to create, the way they want to dismantle the Constitution, they want to get rid of the rule of law, they want to get rid of equal protection under the law. They want the president to become a dictator. They want to live in a Christian theocracy. If you hear all that kind of stuff, they want to take away a woman's right to vote. They've already taken away a woman's right to choose in many states. And if you hear all of that and you say, no, that's not right. That's not the America I want to live in. That's not what America is supposed to be about. That's not even if you're a Christian, you're saying that's not what my faith is supposed to be about. They're misrepresenting Jesus. They're misrepresenting what I believe as a Christian and what I believe as an American citizen. Guess what? You're part of the resistance, like it or not. And everything you do needs to be about resisting that in every way you can, whether that's a conversation with somebody at work or, meeting with somebody or talking to someone in the grocery store line. And certainly the way you vote, certainly the way you make decisions in your life, everything you do now, you have to say, I'm against that and I'm standing up against that. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
I want to thank Deidre for joining us on the show. Thank you. And let me say this. We can't see everyone's comments depending on what venue you're watching. We can't see the comments. So just know that. And I want to shout out somebody who we can't see her comment is Kathy Haynes Beasley. And she says, grateful for the God Squad Voices of Reason. Thank you for watching, Kathy. I want to thank Deidre. Your and my journey sound a little bit similar. I was also pastored for over 10 years. And I was like, I'm good. I'm good. And I'm with you on one of those. This is the thing. I love to cry. I love Christ too much at this point in my life to call myself a Christian. I love Christ too much.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are going through deconstruction wrong. I love Christ too much to associate myself with certain things Christians are doing. And it sounds like you're in that same place.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you for having me. You guys are doing good work.
Thank you.
Right.
Deidre.
Thank you.
Thank you
Join
so
us
much.
again. Feel free to join
Come
us
back again. Yeah.
I will. Take care. All right.
Thank you. You too.
Peace.
Awesome. Our first caller. That's so great. Anybody else who's watching right now, you can join us. I think the easiest way is to go to the God Squad Facebook group or godsquadpod.com. That'll take you to the Facebook group. The link to this show we're doing right now is in that group, and you can join us and jump on. You have a comment, a question, you want to challenge something. We will listen. We'd love to have you on. Who wants to be number 2? Deidre was the first. Who wants to be the second?
Yes. Hand clap for Deidre.
Yeah, thank you, Deidre. That was awesome. And I really love what she shared. That was so good.
Yes. One thing that Deidre said, and I want to just say this because I'm sure this might be our core audience too. Folks who are going through deconstruction, going through navigating their way out of organized religion into their faith. Hopefully you find this a safe place. But if you're someone who is right in the thick of it and still you might be standing in the pulpit, I hope this is a safe place for you too. There's no judgment here. Now there's a lot of raw and real conversation, but there ain't no judgment here. So feel free, whatever side of the fence you're on, feel free to join us. And if you have a question, even a theological question, because we do have a whole entire tattooed theologian with us and 2 former pastors, we'll try to answer it. If there's a question that you're stumped about or you want to try to stump us, do your worst. Come at us, bro.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you want to stump us, we're open to that. That's a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun. Ask us Bible questions. Ask us something you think we don't know the answer to. We're open to all of that stuff. Awesome. Yeah. Dylan, I think you also had one of your segments for this episode.
That is correct. That's right. So my segment is called the Fundamentalist Fuckwit of the Week. And for me, the term fundamentalist fuckwit is the 21st century equivalent of Jesus calling the religious elites a den of vipers or a group of charlatans. So if anybody has a problem with my F-bomb alliteration, I do apologize. But the fundamentalist fuckwit of the week is going to be somebody who brings the fundamentalist fuckwittery to the world. And that's what we are trying to stand against. So this week's fundamentalist fuckwit of the week, cue the video, is going to be Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation and the author of the foreword for the Project 2025 mandate for leadership. Roll the videotape.
You and I have both been parts of faculties and faculty senates and understand that the left has taken over our institutions. The reason that they are apoplectic right now, the reason that so many anchors on MSNBC, for example, are losing their minds daily is because our side is winning. And so I come full circle in this response and just want to encourage you with some substance that we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Dr. Kevin Roberts, everybody, president of the Heritage Foundation, like I said, and I don't know how this guy got a PhD in history, but he has one. It boggles my mind. Earlier in that clip that wasn't shown, he talked about the Federalist paper number 70, and he was talking about how that in that particular Federalist paper, Alexander Hamilton made the case for a strong executive. But what Project 2025 does, and what the recent SCOTUS decision just did, is make the president above the law. So what they want is a dictator, not a strong executive. And Federalist Paper number 69 very clearly states, written also by Hamilton, that the president is not a king, and that the president is liable for prosecution for committing crimes. So today I reread the foreword to the Project 2025 document, and it's 16 plus pages of revisionist history, fallacious arguments, bold-faced lies. I mean, the guy lies so much for somebody who is ostensibly a Christian. And it's all about freedom for us to be able to be theocratic Christian nationalists while taking away the human rights and dignity of anybody that we don't agree with. And so there's one sentence out of the 16 pages. I just want to kind of go to break this down. And this is on page 2 of the document. Anybody can go see this document on my blog on the essay entitled Russ Vought's Horrifying Vision for Chapter 2. I attached the entire 920-page shit show to that particular blog post. This is on page 2. It says, conservatives should be confident that we can rescue our kids, reclaim our culture, revive our economy, and defeat the anti-American and left at home and abroad. Rescue our kids from what? Not guns.
Right.
Not guns in schools. Not climate change. Not the abuses of capitalism. Not ecological devastation. No clean air, no clean water, no unadulterated foods. They want to, quote unquote, rescue kids from LGBTQ plus ideology or dogma, or DEI or CRT, because God knows that a little white kid can't learn about Ruby Bridges and what she went through because it might hurt their fucking feelings. Well, I got news for you. You can learn about it. I'm super white. I learned about it, and it made me a better fucking human being. He also says, reclaim our culture. That is thinly veiled white supremacy.
That's what it is.
Reclaim our culture means take us back to some mythical time when only white men could own property, when only white men could fucking vote. That's why people like Candace Owens, a woman of color who sued because she was treated badly by racists in school, is now a shill for white supremacy and says that women shouldn't be voting. Just like Doug Wilson of Moscow, Idaho, says that women shouldn't have a vote because the family should vote. And this fucking document is full of this kind of stuff about the family and how the president is supposed to legislate morality. Well, that's what a fucking dictator does in a theocratic fascist state. If they want that, they can go experiment by living in fucking Saudi Arabia for all I care. Revive the economy. I'm not an economist, and I must say that the economy is destroying the fucking planet. But that said, Joe Biden's economy is better than just about any other major global power at this point in time. Biden knows how to make the economy go. So that's a moot point. And defeat the anti-American left. He thinks that anybody who's not a white supremacist Christian nationalist is a leftist. In this 17-page shit show, that if he turned this in as an undergraduate, the professor would give it back and say, hey, man, this is poorly written. You've got fallacy after fallacy. You've got projection. You've got revisionist history. You've got bold-faced lies. Try again. Go to the writing center. You're not doing this very well. It's all about saying that the freedom can only be within these certain parameters. You are only as free as we want you to be. And he talks time and time again about how liberty is for all out of one side of his mouth, while out of the other side of his mouth, he's telling you, they are telling you in the Project 2025 document, and Kevin Roberts in particular in the foreword is telling you the exact people that they want to take those rights and liberties away from.
Yeah.
That's why Kevin Roberts, PhD, don't know how that fucking happened, is the fundamentalist fuckwit of the week, because the fundamentalist fuckwittery that he brings when saying that if the left allows it, it'll be a bloodless revolution is off the charts. That is what an abuser does. Look what you made me do. As I'm hitting you, look what you made me do. He literally said, this is a revolution, and if the left allows it to happen, it'll be bloodless. But if we don't, then we start the war. It's our fault. Yeah. Because like Keith was saying to Deidre, we are the Rebel Alliance.
Yes.
You know, we are the Rebel Alliance. We are not the Empire. And I don't understand people who don't understand that. And a word that appears over and over and over again in this is woke. He uses that. So it's a lot of buzzwords and bullshit.
Yeah.
And included with the revisionist history, the bold-faced lies, and multiple different fallacies. I don't know who was on his doctoral committee, but they were not doing a good job. If this is the quality of work that he produced as even an undergraduate, it's fucking ridiculous.
I'm guessing there were probably a lot of white guys.
I'm sure. I think he went to the University of Texas at Austin, so he probably found people with things in common with him who don't want to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, or the hatefulness, the anti-Americanness of critical race theory, which he never defines, and he never tells people that it's a legal theory developed by a legal scholar that's taught in law schools. And it's not teaching history from below. Teaching history from below is a completely different thing. It's giving a voice to the voiceless instead of holding up and lionizing the founding fathers. So giving voice to all of the people. So Kevin Roberts is a dangerous person. And one of the cool things is that Joe Biden could go arrest this motherfucker right now.
Yes.
And everybody at Claremont Institute and everybody at the Heritage thing, Heritage Foundation, and be like, y'all are enemies of democracy. Have a nice stay at the Gray Bar Fed Hotel.
Yeah. Exactly.
I know he won't, but he could.
Yeah. I thank you for sharing that, Dylan, too, because like when I saw that comment online the other day, first of all, a friend of mine shared the video clip, and at first I didn't know who it was. It was out of context. It was just some white guy saying there's going to be, a revolution and it will be bloodless if the left allow it. And I was like, who's this guy? Who's saying this? Right? When I found out who it was, I got even more serious. Like, oh man, and the fact that they know that what they're doing is a revolution. It is against the Constitution. They are doing something radical, the kind of a thing that would cause people to want to violently oppose it. And then, like you were saying, act like, oh, why are you getting so upset? Why are you so violent? Yeah, because you are tearing down the basic fundamental building blocks of our democracy. And terrifying.
Yeah, and that's when he was like, the left is so apoplectic. Goddamn right we are. Because you're trying to set up a theocratic state where people will die if they don't believe the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
and you're the only one who has the right way.
Yeah. and he bemoans cultural elites in this thing over and over again. And I'm like, motherfucker, you have a PhD and you are the president of a policy think tank. You are literally the definition of a cultural elite. He thinks I'm a cultural elite. My dude, I make $45,000 a year as a disabled veteran.
Yeah.
I am not a cultural elite.
Yeah.
I don't move policy and mountains, but to him I am, because everybody that's not everybody to the left of Christo-fascism is somehow a Marxist, a socialist, or an anti-American leftist.
Or a communist or something. Something IST on the end.
Yeah. And you can tell he's a Reaganite because he wants to make the Chinese Communist Party the new Soviet Union that we have a Cold War with.
Yeah.
That's throughout this document too. He never explains why China is our biggest enemy. He just makes that claim repeatedly without substantiating it in any way. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm Gen X. I don't want to do that shit again.
Right.
We did duck and cover drills in Kansas City when I was growing up.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to go through that shit again.
Yeah.
But that's what these people want, because that boosts the economy. If we're making missiles and bombs and we have this nebulous enemy over here who is going who's doing things that are against what we are, and the amount of projection, Jesus, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
It is frightening.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you all for comments. Like I said, we can't see them all, but the ones we could see, I want to give a shout out to J. Eric Thompson. He said, I've been preaching over 2 decades, and I've never been more angst-ridden in anticipation of a Sunday sermon that will be at an ecumenical service with Independence Day themes. I don't even know. I ain't going to nobody's church this Sunday.
No, me either.
Okay. But I hear you on that. I hear that. And one other thing that Deidre said was about the voting. She's like, they say the family should vote. So do the children under 18 vote now, or is it 1 vote per family? And if you're a single parent, are you not a family? And see, this is how you get into the weeds with the bullshit. Because that's a valid question. If the women shouldn't have a vote, and it's only the family that votes, so not only is it only men who could vote, but if you're a single parent, you're not technically a family. There's no man in your house, so you don't have a vote, and neither do your children.
That's what they're
saying. Or
saying.
if you're a family that chooses not to be married, there are plenty of people who cohabitate and they're perfectly content and in love and have a loving family structure. They just don't have that piece of paper or that religious stamp. The government shouldn't have anything to do with marriage.
Oh, I totally agree. Totally agree.
And they shouldn't be getting into that.
Yeah.
Or if you're a same gender family, then I guess you don't have a vote either.
That's right.
Right.
This is really this is them defining marriage the way they want to define it. And the way they define it is 1 man, 1 wife, and the kids, and that's a family. And so if you are not that, you're a single mom. Well, you're not really a family. But you're 2 dads or 2 moms. Well, no, you're not really a family. And so not only are you not a family, you're not going to be able to vote, and they're probably also going to mess around with rights, medical rights, visitation, all kinds of things like that. It's gonna go all the way across the board. It's frightening to me.
If they had any clue at all about the context within which the biblical texts were written, the nuclear family as we know it today was not a thing. It was a whole fucking household of multi-generations. So who would vote in that situation? If that's what they really want to do, make it all about biblical family values. Let's go back to the 1st century AD where paterfamilias was the thing. And only the father, the oldest of the fathers, got to make any fucking decisions. Is that what we're going for? Yeah. I mean, these clowns are only about power. And if I could just wax theological for just a second, I've been reading Matthew again. And I read this quote in a theological commentary because, people like me who are theologians actually don't just read the Bible and go, oh, I'm going to impose my 21st century context on it. And I know everything about what it means. He says, speaking of the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus's disciples are to make peace, Matthew 5:9, by means of self-sacrifice and identification with the least of these, Matthew 25:31 through 46, rather than by violence or domination. You hear that there, Kevin? No violence and no domination. That's the entirety of the Gospel of Matthew.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what people don't understand. And again, because they don't really know Jesus, first of all, at all, from the Gospels. They also don't know church history, right? If you study early church history, one of the beautiful things is that for hundreds of years, we have no evidence of Christians taking arms against one another, taking arms against, Romans or even, Jewish peoples, persecuting them. They really took Jesus seriously when he said, love your enemy, turn the other cheek. That was one of the most radical things about the early Jesus movement, was their incredible devotion to loving their neighbor as themselves, even loving their enemies, taking the words of Jesus seriously. And so now for Christians today, Christian nationalists today, because they're so gun crazy, because they're all wrapped up in their political ideologies, they now believe as Americans, they're more American than Christian. And it's more about a certain kind of American, right? This American that's the flag waving, flag loving NRA member, gun carrying, you get my gun when you pry it from my cold dead hands, kind of American Christian. And so that's a very, very different kind of Christianity. It's a Christianity that's very nationalistic, and it's a Christianity that's like, hey man, we're gonna throw down. I'm gonna pop a shot, pull out my Glock and pop it in your ass if I don't like you, which is nothing
in
about
Jesus' name.
Yeah.
in the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus.
In Jesus' name, I shoot you now.
That's exactly right. And unironically, they'll say, "I'll shoot you in Jesus' name."
That's exactly where our founders were trying to get away from, because that's what they were doing over there across the pond, was killing folks in the name of God.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Killing folks in the name of God. Go ahead.
We have a comment from John S. Suarez, who asked, what about people who are not sold on Biden's second term, but remain committed to the Democratic Party? People just want us to be quiet and not held accountable. I'll say this again. I said it last night, John. We do not have time to reform our electoral politics at this moment in time. What we are faced with is an emergency situation and a binary choice that sucks in a lot of ways, because I don't think Biden has done enough to rein in Netanyahu's genocide, etc. He's made some climate progress, but still not nearly enough. But we don't have the luxury of another option at this point in time, unless Joe Biden decides to step down. So I voted third party in 2016. I will own that. I was engaged in a form of thinking of all or nothing. And I was not able to see past my issues with the presumptive Democratic nominee, because I feel like Hillary Clinton is a right-wing warmonger.
Yep.
And I did not really think that Trump had a chance. But I fucked that up.
Right.
I fucked it up. That was, not to say that Pennsylvania would have flipped if I had voted, or have taken the hundreds of others. But wisdom is applying the knowledge that I learned from 2016. And right now, our choice is binary. It's either the Democratic nominee, whether that's Biden or somebody else, or Christofascism, the likes of which Kevin Roberts and Russ, what's his fucking name? Waters in Oklahoma, are pushing on people. That's our choice.
That's right.
Yeah. And I just want to say this too, because I want to acknowledge that people are feeling this way, and
Absolutely.
not brush it off, or not, be condescending towards that, or not ignore that. People are feeling some kind of way, especially after the debate this past week. Like, man, this is the choices we got. Some people are probably having to say this motherfucker about Biden after the debate. They probably like watching the TV like, these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? So I want to acknowledge that people are feeling like this, and that those feelings I want to affirm right now that those feelings are legitimate.
Yeah.
That you're entitled to feel that way. It's justified. It's completely justified.
Absolutely.
I won't say but, and I won't say however, because those seem to cancel out what comes before it. I will say those feelings are completely justified, and this is the choice in front of us. Okay, if we vote for a third party candidate, that's a vote that you might as well throw in the trash. You might as well write that on a piece of paper and throw it in your own kitchen garbage can. Okay, you can take the time to go to the poll and cast it if you like. If it's going to make you feel good, go do it. But we just heard from the Right Reverend Theologian Dylan Neighbor Cruz that was a mistake that he made a couple years back, And a lot of people made that mistake a couple years back. And we ended up with Donald motherfucking Trump. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're going to end up with him again. If people make that same decision, we're going to end up again there. So I want to say, yes, I understand the angst and I understand the hesitation. I understand the irritation. I understand the agitation. I understand the hateration. I get all of it. All of that is valid. And what else is valid? The fact that this motherfucker put 3 extra folks on the Supreme Court. And we're going to hear for fucking the next until fucking forever in a 6-3 decision. Your fucking freedoms I got rolled back again. In a 6-3 decision, your rights done got snatched up again. In a 6-3 decision, they could put borax in your meat. Listen, Linda. Y'all remember that little boy that a long time? Listen, Linda. Okay, I get it. You don't feel like it. You don't fuck with Biden like that. You're just not that into Biden. I get it. But I'm going to tell you what you do need to be into. You need to be into your freedom. You need to be into your rights. You need to be into your daughter's rights. You need to be into your children's rights to go to school and not have, whether you believe in Christ or not, the Bible and the 10 Commandments shoved down their throat. You need to be into the same freedom your child has to learn about faith at home with you, because that's where the fuck they should be learning about it, is the same right somebody else's child has. You need to be into your daughter not getting raped in college or running down a path, or your sister, your auntie, or mother, somebody walking in the park, get raped, get pregnant, and have to have that baby because, hey, God gave her that child because God must have ordained a rape for her. And so therefore he ordained the baby and you should have to have that baby. You should be for your freedom. You should be for your rights. You should be for waking up day after day knowing that nobody can snatch that shit away from you. And right now, that's what we're up against. You should be for democracy. You should be for not having motherfucking kings. You should be not for having criminal presidents who need immunity. For all these hundreds of years, for all these 46 presidents, we haven't needed immunity until we had a fucking criminal president. So now we need it. You should be for that. I wish they would expand the fucking Supreme Court to 12 or however many we need to balance this shit out. But it is what it is. If you can't be for Biden, if you can't wake up on November 5th and say, I'm going to vote for Biden, then tell yourself something motherfucking else. I'm going to vote for my freedom. I'm going to vote for my rights. I'm going to vote for my son. I'm going to vote for my daughter. I'm going to vote for my education. Tell yourself whatever you got to fucking tell yourself.
That's
okay?
right.
Your feelings are valid. Let me just say that. But do what the hell you got to do. Tell yourself what the fuck you got to tell yourself. Put your boxes, your drawers, your panties, your thongs, whatever you got to do. Get up in the fucking morning, put them on, and go down November 5th and vote for whoever the fuck is not Donald Trump, is not a third party, but somebody who could actually get in that office.
That's what I did in 2020 right there.
That's exactly
You don't gotta like them. You don't gotta be in love with them. It just can't be motherfucking Donald fucking Trump.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly right. That's exactly
Vote
right.
for you. Vote for you. Vote
Yes.
for you. Ignore the name on the ballot and vote for yourself. Vote for yourself. That's what
right.
you got to do.
That's exactly right. So good. Thank you, December. That was beautiful. Yeah, it's sort of like, look, the America we have right now is imperfect, right? Biden is not perfect. Our government is kind of broken, but you know what I mean? There are still people that believe in democracy. There are still people fighting for everyone to have rights, for this to be an America that looks like an America that's for everyone, not just old, straight white people like me. And so, again, it's not perfect, but it's what we have right now. And what scares me is the vote that we have in November is a vote between hanging on to this very imperfect, battle for the rights of everybody, for democracy that does work for everybody, or an America that only works for one set of people, that only works for one religion, that only works for one, sexual orientation, that only works for one religious group, and everybody else is left, with nothing. And that to me is what is important. We need to. What kind of America do you want to wake up in? Let's say after January.
That's right.
After the inauguration. And that's what you're deciding. That's what your vote is deciding, the kind of America you want to live in. And is it great? Is it perfect? No. But I tell you what, the imperfect democracy we have right now is a hell of a lot better than what Project 2025 has in mind for this country.
That's right.
Yeah.
Look, Wani, Wani, I hope I'm saying this right. Wani Rancho, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. He says, are there really more Trump supporters than Biden supporters? Difficult to believe. Let me tell you something. We didn't believe that shit. We didn't believe that when he was running against Hillary, and look where we got. No, there was no poll that said Trump was going to win. Not one. There was nobody that believed Trump was going to win over Hillary. Nobody believed that. And because nobody believed that, people stayed home. People was like, well, I ain't voting for none of them. What's going to happen is going to happen. People voted for third party. And listen, I understand. I get it. Because people thought mistakenly, and how could we know? We didn't know. 2020 vision, now we know, right? We know looking back, now we know. No one would have ever thought that somebody who never served in public office, ever, who never served in the military, who never been a politician, who's a lying, cheating ass, adulterating, bullshit speaking every time he breathed a motherfucker, would get into the White House. Nobody believed that.
Right.
But don't fall for that shit this time around. And let me tell you something else. Trump didn't create this chaos. He exposed this chaos.
Yeah.
Because after Obama got in there, folks are saying we're in a post-racial America. Bullshit.
Yeah.
We've never been in a post-racial America. Obama was a goddamn unicorn. All the stars aligned, like one of them 20 years things that we've been seeing in space, like that damn eclipse a couple. Okay? Who knows if that'll ever happen again? Whoever the fuck knows, okay? But here's the thing. We have never been in a post-racial America. We'll never be in a post-racial America. And all this shit that they're talking about, take the vote away from women, roll this back, take abortion rights away, all that sentiment has been there. It has been there. The only thing Trump did, listen to me real good, for those of you who don't think that Trump can win, the only thing that Trump did was expose what's already there. The only thing that Trump did was pull the covers off these motherfuckers. The only thing that Trump did was flip the light switch on and all the roaches start running around. 25, roll abortion back. All he did was flip a switch and light America up on the bullshit that had been on. That's all he did. Because I'm going to tell you something. He couldn't done none of the stuff he's doing without all the apparatus that's behind him. Without all the billions of dollars, without all the Republicans, even those in law enforcement, everywhere else, that's backing him and standing up, without the fucking Supreme Court that just gave this motherfucker immunity. So do not think that there's not enough for him to win, that like Trump enough to win. There's enough people that like what he stands for. Do you understand?
Yep.
To win. The comedian, what's his name? His name's just my mind. He said, this is what the comedian said. If I could think of his name, I will. He had a show for a long time, and he went to live in Africa and came back. Lord, I can't think of his name right now.
Jon Stewart?
No, black comedian.
Trevor Noah?
Oh.
No, very popular black comedian has his own show, and for some reason his name is jumping my mind. But this is what he said. He said, I'm not saying Trump is racist, but racists think he's racist.
Yes.
I think that was Trevor Noah.
No, that wasn't Trevor Noah. I can't think of his name right. Dave Chappelle. Thank you, Dave Chappelle. Thank you for our
We have a winner.
Dave Chappelle. This is why that's so important. He said, I'm not saying it's racist, but racists think he's racist. If you think that Trump doesn't have the support, listen to me. Listen to what I'm about to say right here. You're right. People don't like Trump enough. People can't stand him. People know that he's a liar. People know that he's a adulterer. People know that he's a philanderer. People know that he's a motherfucking asshole. But here's where you're wrong about whether or not he can get in there or not. If he does get in there, he brings with him a team of people like these motherfuckers that put together Project 2025 to be ready on, quote, day one. Okay? It's not that they like him so much. It's that they like what he represents so much. Oh, yeah. They like the people he has around him so much. They like the policies that people are putting together that are on his team so much. Do not mistake that they like him so much. It ain't even about him. That's why it ain't even about Biden. Please understand what I'm saying and understand what I'm saying. It's not even about him. No, they don't like his ass that much, but that don't mean they won't vote for his ass.
That's right.
Because they wanted to get rid of abortion, because they want to do this and they want to do that, and they know that he'll do that if the right person comes in with the right money, saying the right shit to him. Okay, that's what it's about.
It's an unholy symbiosis.
Exactly
they have
right.
a symbiotic relationship that is toxic as hell. Trump is feeding his narcissism with the sycophantic yes men, and the Christian nationalists are like, we have a useful idiot that will pass whatever we want as long
That's
as we prop up his narcissistic brain.
That's
And
right.
so
That's right.
that's
Exactly
the
right.
choice.
Yeah.
Hold your nose, vote for Biden, or vote for whoever the DNC nominee is.
That's right.
Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good like I did in 2016.
Thank you. I think that's wonderful. Yeah, guys,
You
this
can
is
afford to
awesome.
be purist.
That's right. And this has been great. Listen, episode 1, I can't believe it. I feel like we have two podcasts worth of content in episode 1. So there you go.
Yes.
This was so good. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Please make sure you tune in to John Fugelsang's SiriusXM radio show, Tell Me Everything. That's where we got our start. We owe a lot
right.
to John Fugelsang. Love John.
Right.
And we will
Love you,
catch you
John.
again. Yeah, we love him. And we will catch you again on John Fugelsang show next Wednesday on the God Squad at 8 p.m. Right? Is it 8 p.m. Pacific time? 9 p.m.
It's 10 p.m. Eastern time.
7 p.m.
Eastern
Pacific
time
time.
on Wednesday. Thank you there. And then we'll see you back here again next Thursday at the same time. Love you guys. Thank you all for being a part of this. And again, we can't do this without you. We appreciate your support. Thank you for everybody who supports the show, leaves comments. And if you like this, if you like the God Squad, please like it and share it. Share it with your friends. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. And we'll see you next time.
All
See y'all
right,
next
be with
week.
you guys.
All right, guys. Take